She was smelling another large corporation, crossing her finger that someone would like it and hire her. She felt more easy writing at night when no one could bother her and she could easily concentrate on her work. She has been speaking to herself until she received an email. She reached for her phone right away. She received an email from Rim Empire Corporation interested in hiring her as a novelist. When she saw the message, her eyes widened. She began to scream with joy. She responded to their message and provided them with her contact information. She eventually received a call from the company. There was a young lady there. The lady requested more information from Syanja and gave her some time to make her decision. She sighed after a phone call. She said as she lay on the bed. Chanja was sleeping peacefully in the morning, but when the sunlight hit her face, she groaned and sat on the bed. It was nearly 9 a.m. Chanja jumped out of the bed and went to her daily routine. She rushed down to the kitchen after a quick shower and sat on the dining table, making everyone frown. She finished her breakfast quickly, which worried her mother. Her mother gave her a look. She noticed her daughter was preoccupied with her own thoughts. She approached her and took her hand in hers. Chanja smiled and looked at her mother. Chanja's mother gave her a puzzled look. She had no idea what she was talking about. Chanja sighed deeply and told her everything, telling her it was a fantastic opportunity that she would able to assist them as well. It's been a long time since they have so much trouble recent years. Her mother looked at her as if something was constantly going through her mind. Chanja thanked her mother and hugged her tightly. Chanja's mother went to talk to her father in his room. Chanja prayed and waited for a good news. She keeps telling herself to relax. She put her hand on her chest and calmed her racing heart. Her father called her. After several minutes, she began to panic. Her hands began to cold, and she began to sweat profusely. Her father yelled once more. Chanja flinched slightly, jumped to her feet, and dashed to his room. She knocked on the door and waited for a response. She entered the room and stood in front of her mother and father, staring down at the floor, a fearful expression on her face. While looking down, she heard her father's angry voice and simply nodded at his question. She nodded several times right away. Her mother smiled slightly as her father looked at her. Her face lit up with joy as she hugged him. He stroked her back. Chanja entered her bedroom and sat on the bed. She took out a photograph of Jungkook and stared at it. She let out a long sigh. She sadly chuckles. Jungkook introduction. Jungkook sat with his group members discussing their project. He was the group youngest member. They were discussing their upcoming project, which they hoped to complete in a month. They worked extremely hard for it. The project's leader, who is his elder cousin and friend Kim Yuram, he is so serious about work and he is informing them for some new changes. Kim Yuram introduction. Yuram sighed, leaning against the table. He looked at the contractor, who was always talking. Because the line sounded similar to those in their previous story, they all agree with him. The contractor is attempting to convince them to accept their decision. Yuram remained silent for a while. They all exchanged glances and made eye contact. One of them was irritated by contractor decision. Min Hayon kept calming himself, but it was starting to get on his nerves. He looked at Kim Hyoram and slammed his palms on the table, making everyone flinch. Min Hayon introduction. They all grinned as they all left the office. The contractor agreed with their decision as well. They have to because they are so well known all over the world and they simply cannot afford to lose the contract. Yoram cast a glance at Hyon. Hyon gave him a friendly smile. Yoram rolled his eyes, knowing Hyon was right. Nothing was wrong with what he said in the conference room. They got into the car and drove away, leaving the company there immediately aftermath. Chanja sent company an email when she had made up with her mind after 2 days. Her mother approached her when she was seated at the dining table and joined her. Chanja gave her a quick glance before grinning broadly at her. Her mother was aware that she had already made up with her mind. Her mother gave her a back pat to prepare dinner. Her mother got up and went to the kitchen. Shanza was anticipating the email of confirmation to assist her mother. She headed to the kitchen. She was aware that she wouldn't be able to see her family after a few days. Her mother gave her a smile and a nod. Stepping toward the refrigerator, Chanja looked for some vegetable. Her mother approached her and gave her a head slap. She smiled as she turned to face her. She is aware that she needs her assistance in anything. When her mother grinned, Chanja began washing the vegetable and placed them into a bowl after washing them to dry them. She grabbed a knife and began to chopping up some vegetables.